Today we're looking at job number 11935 and it's a self-repair gone wrong. Very much like the PS5 fan connector video that we have on the channel. This is a PlayStation 4 Pro that has had the power connector ripped off the board, as you can see here. And our job today is to fix that and get it back to a working order. I believe that the customer attempted to clean out the console and went to pull on the connector and just ripped it off of the board. I do have the wire here and I also have the other bit of the connector. Let's go over to the scope and see what the damage is on it. I think we're still going to be able to use it, if I'm honest. Yeah, we just need to take the pads off. We've still got the pins on the side bit as well. So we should be able to use this to make sure that we have a strong connection with the board. So first of all, let me just clean this up quickly. To go ahead and apply some flux on the connector itself, and then just using an iron, should be able to get the pads off. Just like that. And as you can see, the connector is now fine, prepped and ready to go. Let's check out the damage on the actual board, shall we? Which, as you can see, is right here. So the plan, very much like we done in the other video with the PS5 fan connector, is we're going to take some solder braid. I'm going to use my engraving pen here, 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 and here to reveal the ground pads that we have. And then I'll put the braid over here and here, just so we've got a good, strong anchoring point for the port to go. And then I'll also use the grinding pen here and here, and just run a wire down to where about we have these two pads. Now, luckily, these two pads are still here. This one is ground, but I should be able to just put these back in place and reuse them. So we should just have the trace repair here and here. That's if it all goes well and according to plan. Okay, so let's take our grinding pen. We'll just do the ground pads first. IPA and a bit of a cleanup, just to see where we are. That bit can go back down. Yeah, that should be fine, as long as it doesn't cross over to the other pad. That should be all right. I think we've got enough on this side. I think maybe a little bit more on this side, or we might be okay. Push that back down. And we need to push these pads back down. Maybe this one back over. Still got a good connection. There we go. I'm just going to do a tiny bit more on this side here. There we go. And we'll also take measurements of the size that we need. So if we run it there, if we just take it there, looking at about here, I'm just going to make a small indent so I know where to cut. And it's going to be the same for the other side as well. So let's check out the sizes of these. That'll do. And this one. Yeah, that will also do nicely. One of the main things that I need to be cautious about is that these pads can't touch these lines, you see, because if they're connected to ground, it's going to bring down the connection. It's just not going to work. So now we're just going to move these over to the side and apply quite a bit of flux. And we're just going to tin the ground here and the ground here. Same over here. There we go. Take our pads and put them in place. So I think I need to move this over a little bit just here. Just squish that over to make sure it's not going to touch. There we go. So that one's on, but what I'm now going to do is just add a bunch of solder just to make sure this is nice and strong. There we go. That is not going anywhere. And we do the same for this side. Again, not get it too close to the other line. And then just push down. Move over slightly. There we go. Let's jump back. Probably about... Come on. There is good. Sweet. Exactly the same. Need to push down on here as well. Make sure we move it over as much as we can. There we go. And just flood it with solder. Nice. A quick clean. Just to make sure we're okay. shouldn't have used the cotton bud here, but it's okay. Just we've got little strands of hair now. But so far so good. And now we just put some flux here. Tin this little pad. And this little pad, because that's where we're running the jumpers from. And we just go ahead and tin those wires in place. That's a nice solid connection. And the cut that we're going to make is going to be about here. We've got a lot of room to play with. Perfect. And now we do the exact same for this one. Just change tip on this. Haha. You think you can escape? Not today, my friend. Nice. Exactly the same. Give or take. And now again, a nice little clean. I'm going to be stroking downwards. If these wires fall off, they were not fit for purpose. That's how I see it. If they can't survive a clean. I'm not stroking upwards. I'm literally stroking which way the wires are going. We're just drying off. And now we just straighten the wire. I mean, I've bent that now. There we go. Now it's straighter than what it just was. Now we're just going to apply some conformal coating just down here. And here we go. The solder mask has hardened now, which is good. Probably do with a little bit longer actually. I also need to put a little bit up here as well. There we go. Okay, so we should be pretty good to go. The connector is going to sit like this. I need to make sure that the wire is going to be soldered to it. What we now need to do is just tin these wires. Consider them tinned. I don't know if you can see, but the pins are slightly bent to the right. So what I need to do is just quickly straighten them. I think this is better. Yeah, perfect. Now we need to go ahead and secure the connector down. Okay, we have one side. Now we need to rotate the board. Apply more flux. What you have to be careful of here is that sometimes the ground pads here can actually move. So you need to make sure you're very, 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 very still. Okay, just want to make sure that the solder, yeah, so you can see on each side, you see more specifically this side at the moment. Look how secure this is. It's risen up onto the connector itself. And if I just show you on this side as well, it's done the exact same thing. So now I am confident that this connector is not going absolutely anywhere. Now what I can do is focus on the front bits and just make sure we get the best connection possible here. If we just add a tiny bit of flux here, that should connect to the wire now. That should connect to the wire underneath as well now. I'm going to put a tiny bit of solder on my iron for these pads. So that should be connected. And that should also be connected. Quick clean, again, brushing down and around the area. And what we're looking for is these pins to obviously move with the pads, which it is. You can see that they're clearly connected, both of those. And over here, we're looking for the pin to move with the wire underneath. I've actually zoomed in even further to get this on picture for you. Should be a clear enough image. But if I just move this, does it move with the wire? Yes, it does. You can see the wire moving as well. Perfect. And with this one, yep, the wire is moving. That's really, really, really good. And just to be triply safe, I am going to measure in diode mode to make sure we have some sort of reading. So here we have 0.4, here we have ground, so it shouldn't be anything. Here we have 1.8, and here we have 0.6. So all of those readings are fine. I'm just going to check the corresponding pins up here. Yeah, all of these are showing exactly what we have down here, which is perfect. I will measure in continuity mode as well to make sure that none of them are touching. This shouldn't be the case considering we have different diode readings for every single one. However, it's always best to double check that nothing is pulling down the line. Wicked. That shouldn't beep. That shouldn't beep. This should beep because it's ground. Perfect. And this shouldn't beep, which it doesn't. Wicked. Because this is working as expected, I'm going to come in with some conformal coating over the pins. It's not really for added strength, if I'm being 100% honest with you. It's more so a case of, with specifically these two, it will stop them from bridging at any given time because this is non-conductive. And there we go, all nice and solid. Again, sounds silly, but I need to make sure that I clean up around the area just to make sure we leave a good finished product. And this is what we're looking at as a finished product. Not too shabby, if you ask me. Doesn't look the best, but if it works, it doesn't need to. So now let's go ahead and give it a test. Okay, pause here quickly. We tested the board with a power supply when it wasn't fully assembled, and it was okay because I didn't want someone to then take the board apart for me again. If it didn't work, I would have rather just known there and then, and it was working fine. Then when we put the PS4 Pro fully back together, there was no power. What happened is after I placed the conformal coating on the top of these wires and give it back to my colleague to test when everything wasn't fully reassembled, it was fine. However, the conformal coating was still a little bit wet. I think I put a bit too much on, but I think what happened is during the process of taking it apart and putting it back together, the trace that I made here was touching this ground pane. Like, it was silly of me to do this. I should have cut it a lot thinner and just had it here rather than extend over exposed ground. So what was happening is when we were trying to turn the PS4 on, this was touching ground and therefore we weren't getting any power. What I did to rectify this, to save it from touching ground again, was I cut the traces right on the edge of the pads here, ensured that they were still soldered to the pins, and we're all good. So basically, Joey made a boo-boo, but more importantly, has learned something from it. And here is now a video where you can see the PS4 Pro all up and running. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.